TWM podcast.
Hello and welcome to Best of the Rest, your Friday roundup of the odds and ends in your wrestling week. And there are a lot of odds and ends. It's a packed podcast. I'm Matty Deller. This is a TWM podcast bringing you content each and every day on Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Acast, TuneIn, Podbean and YouTube. And if you're listening on YouTube, thank you very, very much for doing so, or watching, whatever it is, it has a picture on it. Please subscribe, smash that like button and turn on notifications so you do not miss a single piece of audio content or visual content that we put up on there. And we are brought to you by We Love Sport. They're a fantastic app that help you find your nearest sports bar showcasing the latest WWE pay-per-views. Obviously, they're not doing that at the moment, but they are helping everyone out with some great written content provided by TWM and some stuff to kind of keep everyone's morale up during these trying times. Please check them out on their social media at We Love Sport UK, welovesport.co, and check out that app on the App Store or the Google Play Store. We're also still together with WrestleCrate, providing you great content. Go and check out our unboxing of their March box. You can go and sign up to them. Use the code TWM Wrestling, and you can get up to 3 free items in your subscription box. Use the code TWM Wrestling at checkout at WrestleCrate.co.uk. As I said, I am Matty, and I am joined by TikTok star Kymmie.
Hello!
This is literally all you've done for the last 2 weeks, isn't it?
I'm that fucking bored, but I'm actually like getting up my views, so I think my content's getting better. I still don't really understand TikTok like 100%. I'm not like up there with the cool kids.
This is what we're going to end up doing eventually in about a month's time when we've finally run out of wrestling. We're just going to be on YouTube reviewing your TikTok, like us review. That's when we know this podcast has eventually eaten itself. However, this podcast will become incredibly meta later on. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got NXT UK, We've got Impact, we've got that TNA Wrestling hour-long depressing special. We've got Dark Side of the Ring episode 2. You guys loved that brief little chat about episode 1 so much last week that we are talking about episode 2 in a bit more context. And Return of Total Bellas. Season 5 dropped last night, and because we have friends in America, we were allowed to watch it today. So we'll be talking about that. But first, let's talk a little bit about NXT UK. NXT UK, the final NXT UK for a while, it looks like, because this was the last taping they did from Coventry. They're showing a documentary next week, and then after that, I imagine they'll just be like, I don't know, putting something else on. So yeah, they're building something that might not happen for a long time, but it did have a main event, as wrestling normally does. Ilya Dragunov overcame 19 other superstars in a battle royal to determine to earn a title shot at the NXT UK champion Volta at whenever NXT UK Takeover Dublin is. It's meant to be in October, but who knows when anything will ever happen ever again. It's weird, because I feel like what if you're doing a match at Dublin and you've been building up to this war between Volta and Finn Balor, to then give the title shot to Ilya seems a bit weird.
I disagree. And I only disagree on one fact and one fact alone, is the fact that Ilya, however you pronounce it, is part of NXT UK, and this whole bringing people in from NXT and having matches is really just annoying. But the NXT UK guys should have a shot, not NXT guys.
But you do you remember that NXT, when it first started, was full of WWE guys, right? They would have one turn up every week. So it's basically the same thing.
Well, yes and no, because they'd turn up, but some of them did get title shots, and even then I wasn't happy when they got title shots.
Yeah, never forget,
it's the same thing here.
Jinder Mahal was in the first ever NXT title match when Seth Rollins beat him for the belt. Never forget that. I
know, but the main point is Seth won, so it's okay.
But one, I think maybe there was meant to be a UK title match at TakeOver Tampa Bay. Maybe we were meant to get Finn versus Volta there, and obviously then plans have changed.
That wouldn't surprise me if that was the case, to be honest.
Yeah. So maybe this was meant to be a non-takeover title match. Maybe it was meant to happen at the next set of tapings. I don't know. However, it was a good battle royal. I don't know why they need to explain the rules of a battle royal. I think if you're watching wrestling, you know how a battle royal works.
Well, no, I kind of like. I do get it, and I don't get it, because I don't get it because it's kind of like, yeah, mate, we know how it works. But at the same time, if you've got new people watching the content who have never watched wrestling before, and they're literally like, what is actually happening right now? Well, I have no idea how this match is supposed to work. It kind of explains it for them. So I kind of like it, and I don't.
I always feel like, though, if you're like, they should know they should know their audience. Like, if you're watching NXT UK, I'm fairly certain you've probably watched wrestling a fair bit. I doubt anyone with plain eyes is going straight to the hour show that's on a Thursday on a streaming platform. But then again, I don't know. Like, maybe it's just me. Some of the highlights from this. Kashi Sono was the first to throw one out because don't be a dick. A-Kid did a Kofi and rode the Muscle Cat, Saxon Huxley, back to the ring. Joseph Connors trying to be interesting but failed because he stole Ridge Holland's stick. And Ridge Holland was dumb enough to get himself eliminated by shouting, "Give me my stick back."
Brilliant.
We had Mustache Mountain facing off in the ring, which was nice, which was fun. Devlin's massive head eliminating A-Kid. Dar dropping Devlin. I hope that's a match for the Cruiserweight title at some point.
Yeah.
Noam Dar versus Jordan Devlin. That would be great.
Oh my god, imagine. Don't get my hopes up.
And then a match, then Bait and Ilya were the final two, and there was like the last basically 3 minutes of that match was just another match within itself. Them two just really, really good, really, really enjoyable. They had to re-record a lot of lines. They had better microphones, unlike last week, where Nigel sounded like this. I imagine they had a lot of stuff leading to take over Dublin. Now they've just said he earned an NXT title shot, and that's it.
Under the duvet recording.
Under the duvet. This is the rule. Do it under a duvet, and don't do it just directly into your laptop. Get a microphone. That was pretty much the long and short of it. We had two women's matches, two female matches, two women's matches before the Battle Royal. We had Ginny and Kaylee Ray over Piper Niven with glitter all over her face, which was...
Yeah, what was that about?
I have no idea. I'm not sure why. And Danny Luna, who's getting a big old push, it looks like. And then we had Zaya Brookside returning, defeating Emil. Her new finisher is great.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's such a good... Thing is, though, it was one of those things of, like, it's so close to being an amazing finisher, because what I thought she was going to do was with the way that she bumped off that move, I thought she was going to, like, just roll back and, like, roll her up in a pin at the same time.
Okay.
If she could do that, it would be like the bank statement, where it's, like, 2 moves in one. It'd be really, really cool. But I do like that.
She can work on, I suppose, isn't it? It's still a great move either way, but if she can get to the stage where she does do it as a roll-up pin, that'd be even better. Like
that again, that's another move that I would see, and then immediately would, when you were Graps woman, would be texting you going, "Steal that." That's a move you can do. Like you can
do that.
You can do that. I'm gonna have one little negative on this. I know she's lovely, and I know she's friends of friends, and I don't want to it's not throwing shade, and I'm not being mean, but Francesca Brown, the new NXT ring announcer, has a lot of work to do.
I think it's just down to nerves. I'm going to honestly put it down to nerves, because it's different when you're like ring announcing it somewhere, like, not that anyone got the choice, but like Progress, it was always Jim, and he's very charismatic. He's on the stage most days of the week. But when you have someone like Francesca that's coming in, she has done ring announcing, of course she has, but I think there's that like anxiety there. It's kind of like, don't fuck up, don't fuck up, don't fuck up, don't fuck up. So I think it's just more nerves than anything.
There was just some little bits, like, she goes really deep when she's introducing people, like when she has the names, and sometimes you can't, like when she introduced Kaylee Ray, and I'm not taking the mic because it's ring announcing, it's really difficult, but like what she literally was like, she went, "Come into the arena, I could not hear anything she said. It was just a noise. And also she's really like aggressive with her ring announcing, and it does work, but it was the wrong kind of aggressive. It was more angry rather than hyped.
Yeah, like, I know what you mean.
But then again, if you ever listen back to Lillian Garcia when she first started in WWE, she was awful, and you get your reps in. So I imagine she'd be fine, because like she's not exactly plucked from obscurity. She's like
exactly.
Well, actually, I think the thing is, it wasn't like her job. She does presenting, but her main thing was like she's like the world's premier Katy Perry impersonator. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
Like she's
that is her a job. She does it all over the world.
Yeah. So like she knows how to be on a stage and knows how to do all that stuff. Like, so I imagine she'll get her reps in and she'll be grand. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of work there to be done, and the way she like. I laughed when she introduced Kaylee Ray, and it was just Kaylee Ray! Like, it sounded like they took her gerbs from South Park, and I was just like, yeah, doesn't really work for me. But yeah, the tapings have run out. They're putting on a documentary next week, The Rise of NXT UK. I will not be watching that.
No, thank you.
And then, yeah, there'll be no more NXT UK until then. Like we've spoken before about, eventually wrestling's going to run out. Like there's going to be some things that are going to last longer. I think MLW have got tapings for a while. Impact are going to be around for a bit. As far as I know, AEW have taped until the middle of May. So like wrestling's going to be different for a bit. Podcasts are going to change, but obviously we said we'll keep across that on our social media platforms. But yeah, that's your lot for NXT UK for the foreseeable.
TWM podcasts are brought to you by We Love Sport, the fantastic app finding you your nearest sports bar showing the latest WWE pay-per-views. We Love Sport has over 400 of the best sports bars and pubs in the UK at your fingertips and allows you to book front row seats, giving you the best views of the action. You can also check out what sports are being shown over the next 7 days, making sure you don't miss a second of the action. Download the We Love Sport app on the App Store or Google Play Store. Follow We Love Sport on all social media platforms at We Love Sport UK and check out welovesport.co.
Big news out of Impact this week is the first set of tapings from Atlanta. Well, that's not the big story. It is that Kylie Ray has returned to Impact after appearing at Bound for Glory, defeating Cassandra Golden, and she's announced that she is signed with the company. Like, Kylie Ray's like, do you know the whole situation with Kylie Ray?
I don't think I know the whole thing, though.
Well, but funny enough, no one knows the whole thing. That's the weird thing, because she was part of AEW. She was like the second or third female signed to AEW.
Oh wait, of course she was. I completely forgot about that.
And she was meant to be a massive, like she was meant to be. I'm pretty sure where Riho was. Like she was meant to be the big deal, and then she did like a few shows, disappeared, no social media, off the face of the earth. Then at Double or Nothing, Tony Khan says, "Oh, she's been released from her contract." No one knows why. She then released.
Well, to be honest, I think I might know a bit of the reason why.
Well, she never.
And this is pure fucking shade. It's shade. Are you ready for the shade?
Is it? Well, she put out on social media something about something wasn't right, and she felt the right thing to do was to walk away, and something about God. I can't remember what it was. Right? Remember, shade or libel. It depends what you know. Like.
Oh, I don't know anything. This is my opinion.
Oh, your opinion. Okay, go ahead.
This is my opinion, but it's shady, and I think it's to do with the fact that AEW does not give a fuck about their women's division.
Okay, fair enough. Like that is actually something.
I honestly
me and Mike were just actually, genuinely enough, funny story. Me and Mike were discussing AEW women's wrestling last night, because we were discussing, we are big fans of the enhancement talent they had on. We've been to Anna Jay, the enhancement girl on AEW, and we said that, and he thought that she was better than pretty much any of the females that wasn't Dakota Kai that wrestled on NXT this week. Like she was like and I was like, yeah, and we're kind of adjusting back and forth, and we were saying like maybe I think it's a year 2 product is them getting that women's division up, and I feel like with Kenny Omega fronting. Like, Kenny Omega's in charge of the women's division in AEW. I have a feeling that maybe Cody and Brandy signed you Britt Baker, signed you Kylie Ray, and Kenny Omega maybe went, no, Japanese wrestling. Those are the women we need to be pushing. Yeah. Shida and Riho and Nyla Rose, those are the guys we're going to be pushing. And Riho got massively over, and then they didn't have her for ages because she doesn't live in the country. And then they kind of went, oh, we'll figure it out eventually. And then obviously the big Brandy Rhodes thing with Awesome Kong and all that just fell apart because Awesome Kong couldn't wrestle.
Yeah.
There's something else going on there. There's a big cloud over Kylie Ray because no one really knows whether it was something to do with her, something to do with something in AEW. However, it's a really, really, really good get for Impact because she's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I think someone said she's like Bailey on cocaine. She's like...
That's actually a really good way of explaining her, actually, Bailey on cocaine.
She's mega Bailey. Like, she's Bailey, but she's like NXT Bailey. where she had the whole character, but she got it done in the ring. Like, you could see, like, there's a bit where eventually she snaps and she's intense, but not, like, overly intense. She still fits into the character, and it works really, really well. Like, you can build a promotion around it. It's a bit of a weird one at the moment, because to bring in someone like Kylie Rae when you've got Jordynne Grace as champion, like, the only thing you would do if you're going to push her straight to the top is then turn Jordynne heel. But then they bring in back Tenille as well. So one of those two have got to turn heel. Otherwise, there's a big imbalance on the heel-face dynamic in the company, because you can't turn Kylie Rae heel. Kylie's got to be your number one face.
Yeah, she has to be.
Well, in the women's division, Tessa's clearly
It'll be interesting to see how they play it out.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. But she had a match against Cassandra Golden. Golden was pretty good as well. But Kylie Rae picked up the win with a lovely STF. John Cena could learn a thing or two about cinching in that STF. There's a joke from 2006 for you. We did have an interesting commentary, Joe, because we had Josh Matthews and Madison Rayne, which, for my money, unless I have been mistaken, on TV wrestling anyway, this is not the first husband and wife commentary team, as far as I could tell, because Josh and Madison, are married.
I did not know that.
Yeah, no, I always forget that they're married. I always feel like they were married and then broken up. I had to check. Every time I remember they're married, I have to go check Wikipedia to see if they're divorced, because I always think they have, and they haven't. It's that they both left respective other halves and then got together, so it's one of those ones.
Snap.
I don't think because of... I hope not, anyway. I think they just were both single after marriages and then got together. But then we do see Don Callis and Josh Matthews on commentary, so either, I guess, the mic's messed up, or they had to re-record the entire thing at home because they were speaking about lockdown and rebellion and stuff, so they just re-recorded it.
I would imagine the latter, they re-recorded it.
We got a whole bunch of stuff from the rest of the show. We had basically stuff between Eddie Edwards and Tessa Blanchard. Tessa basically made the save after Eddie Edwards got beat down by the North after he lost against Josh Alexander. And then Eddie did the same thing as Ethan Page lost to Tessa. Elgin tried to take them both out but was chased off. It's standard triple threat booking for that match that will eventually happen at some point in the future. Moose continues his war with TNA, and he beat Kid Cash. It's a shame that that at the moment is going nowhere, because obviously
literally I don't know what is going on with that.
Yeah, because I don't know whether it's postponed or it's cancelled, but it's not happening this weekend, which I'm really sad about. Then we get an introduction to a new team, Triple XL, AC Romero and Larry D. They cut a very shouty promo.
They were shouty. There's like shouty, and then there's that promo.
They were like doing like old school 80s Hulk Hogan earthquake promo. I'm
coming after you.
And TJP and Falabar give the traditional Filipino greeting of just giving people food. I know that's true, because one of my ex-girlfriends is Filipino, and when I went to her house, her mum just kept giving me trays of food every time I turned up. Like, so I know that for a shoot, that's a thing. So, but they told them that the line starts behind them. But the food looked very nice. I think it was like fried chicken. It looked really nice. We hear from Rich Swann, and this interview was weirdly cut, because it did seem like they recorded the questions and recorded the answers with a different person. So, like, the reaction to the question just seemed really weird.
It didn't work, did it? It was really like...
Yeah. Just weirdly paced. Yes. Ace Austin interrupts and tries to put dissension between Willie Mack and Rich Swann. And then Reno Scum jumped Rich Swann in his house. Pretty good. A little janky, but it was a
little weird.
We then get Sammy Moncroahan. That's his name now. He has really cool new music, though. I like his new music.
I like it.
And he says he's sick of old guys taking all the spots on the young guys. And I'm like, I swear that's like a face gimmick. That shouldn't be a heel.
Well, no, it can be a heel gimmick as well, because I suppose he's just going to basically beat up old people, so that's kind of a heel.
Yeah, but like this honest thing, it's like the old WCW thing where they're like, we're going to have the young up and comers in one stable and all the old guys that don't want to move out the way in the other stable, and we're going to have the old guys be the good guys because screw giving anyone else a chance. It's just really weird. Like I never see it when it's like unless it's legitimately like a guy that's the champion. Whereas Ken Shamrock was like got told to turn up for a Hall of Fame ceremony, and Callahan just like, no, you're what's wrong here, and sets him on fire. However, Tommy Dream is here because someone mentioned old wrestlers, and that's the bat signal for Tommy pissing Dreamer. Sammy beats him in every Dreamer match ever, pretty much. OVE get aired by Sami Callihan as well, so they are building that thing of OVE and Sammy being at a discourse. We do get two superb things as well. Drunk Rosemary is now a thing.
Oh, I love it. Keep it. Can we keep that? I want to keep that forever.
Just her out flirting at a bar, chatting. Genuinely, my weird crush on Rosemary is just getting more and more so. Like,
I love it.
It's tremendous. Absolutely love it. Just her going around going, we're going to suck your souls, and we're going to... And basically, I put all my trust in a human, and it backfired, so now I'm just going to use... If this is going to end with basically Rosemary being like a demon... Just goes around,
just taking people's souls,
just banging at anyone, but then taking their souls at the same time.
Is it kind of like the film? Have you ever seen the film Teeth?
It is that, but less horrific. I doubt she's got the main plot line of Teeth. If it was, I'm going to be terrified. We get a Su Yung retrospective, basically explaining all the Su Yung stuff, and you get to see Ali the Vampire Slayer and when she died. And Susie's back, creepy Susie. And she's self-aware now, so this is British. So she's like, I know I'm Su Yung. I don't like Su Yung, so don't make Su. Basically, she's now the Hulk, because it's like you won't like me when I'm angry, because that's when Su Yung comes out.
Oh.
So, and everyone's scared of her, which was brilliant. Then we also got Cody Deaner over Joseph Ryan. We've got no RVD, no Katie Forbes, Andy lost. This cancel culture thing had kind of not got off to the best start. They've got bored of it really quickly, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a shame. Right. So they also had this TNA Wrestling hour-long... It was meant to be a preview that was played on Friday before they had the big show over WrestleMania weekend. Of course, that didn't happen. So I'm not going to lie, this show was just weird and a bit depressing, because it made me realise how fun the TNA show was going to be on Fight TV. But they had all the stuff, like some stuff was fun. They had like the cross the line stuff and the TNA voiceover guy. They also showed a video package where legitimately 95% of the people in the intro video weren't on the show. It was like Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Jeff Jarrett. And I'm just like, none of these people are going to turn up. Why are you doing this to yourself? So yeah, we got Hernandez over Chase Stevens. It was a squash match. No one cares. There's some pretty good VTs all night. We had Suicide and Manic over Cash and Swinger. Right. I've written down, explain to Kim how Manic and Suicide were the same wrestler at one point, but apparently they're not now.
What?
So, Suicide was a wrestler from a video game that Impact brought out. They decided to make Suicide an actual wrestler. He was played by about 14 different people, but at the end of it, he was played by TJ Perkins, TJP, who wrestles in Impact now.
Right, yep.
Then Suicide got unmasked and revealed that it was TJP, who then turned into Manic. He became Manic. So in canon, Suicide became TJP, who became Manic. That was
Jesus fucking Christ.
But now they're just doing they're doing a massive inside joke that Suicide and Manic were never the same person.
Oh god.
It's just really weird. Suicide and Manic win with the crossbody swanton thing. They ripped the piss out of the King of the Mountain match, which did make me laugh. Scott Steiner uncensored, which was really disappointing because he said barely anything and then beat up Joey Ryan. We got a bit of Steiner maths, but that was it. So it wasn't actually that good. We then had the main event. Oh yeah, we had Raven cutting a great promo about the Clockwork Orange House of Fun, which I used to adore that match as a teenager. And when I was way too old to be still playing with wrestling figures, I would actually recreate that match with my figures and stuff. Because
I want to see videos. I'm
fairly certain this match would have been around 2004. Actually, it depends. Would 2004? So it would have been 13, 14. Is that too old to be playing wrestling figures at that point?
No.
You're getting towards the end of playing with them anyway. Says the man who has a Hurricane and a Grand Metalik figure that sits on his desk, and he sits there playing with it when he's got nothing to do, making them just do Canadian Destroyers over and over again. But yeah, no, I used to recreate that match with like rope and a thing and then tail. I loved old TNA. And the main event was Rhino beating Madman Fulton via DQ. It was a finish that's very TNA, so how fitting. Yeah, it's weird because obviously you would have only been on and off with TNA, but this was just a bit weird because it means nothing in the grand scheme of things. So it was just a bit of a crap hour of wrestling.
It was just kind of like a filler spot. They didn't really know what to do, and they was just kind of like, let me just throw this randomness in.
Yeah, I feel like they were meant to have bigger people on this show, and in the end, they've just gone, I'll get whoever, because it doesn't matter, we can't do the show anyway, so...
Yeah.
Oh well, it happened.
TWM podcasts have joined forces with WrestleCrate, the original and best monthly theme, monthly wrestling subscription service to bring you a fantastic deal. If you use the code TWM Wrestling when you sign up to a monthly subscription at WrestleCrate.co.uk, you will receive a free item in your first month's box. Then, if you stay for another month, you'll get a second free item. And then, if you stay for a third month, you guessed it, we'll give you a third free item. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. WrestleCrate brings you the best swag from the biggest companies and names in the wrestling world. We're talking t-shirts, photos, pins, DVDs, vinyl figures, and loads more from WWE, Progress, Shakara, NXT, Fight Club Pro, and loads more. That's WrestleCrate.co.uk and use the code TWM Wrestling for up to free items, all thanks to WrestleCrate and TWM.
Now, Dark Side of the Ring. Now, last week I spoke about the Chris Benoit one, and I said to you that you should go watch the Benoit one. Did you end up going to watch the Benoit one?
No, I haven't actually watched it yet.
Like, so you dove straight in with episode 2 and New Jack.
Yeah, pretty much.
What were your thoughts on this episode?
Well, I'm not really sure what to think. I was watching it while I was building a Lego set, and I felt like I was watching something too dark to be building a Lego set with. Yeah,
this was a lot. This episode was a lot. Now,
mate, a lot is undercutting it.
It's just like it was a madness. Several madnesses occurred throughout this because again, me and Mike and a bunch of us were talking about New Jack because I'm like. And talking to Joe as well, because he watched this, and we were discussing this, and I was just like, I don't feel like I should like New Jack, like I should like enjoy him because he's not a nice person. I know he's had a horrible background, which we get into, but I'm going to get into this because pretty much everything I wrote down for this was usually ends with the fuck, Jesus Christ, fucking hell, which is
There's
basically
a lot of swear words.
A lot of stuff happens, but I was like, I know, like he's not a particularly nice human being, but my God, isn't he the most fascinating man on the planet?
He really is.
Like
he actually is.
It's the reason why people watch serial killer documentaries. It's why people watch like these anti-hero things because it's just. I believe actually we got an article from Benjamin who wrote about this, and he was basically doing a lot of parallels between New Jack and the Joker, and my God, that is very accurate. Because people,
it's true. It's why I'm obsessed with these type of like documentaries and watching like real life crime stories. Is because you just want to know like. What is going on in their heads? I know, it's just... Like, it's fascinating, but at the same time it's scary, but it makes it more fascinating.
The great line right at the start, they had Sandman as one of the talking heads, and he basically just described him when, if you fuck with him, he will kill you.
Point blank, full stop, explanation point, done.
New Jack then explains his gimmick. He's like, there was LA riots, OJ had just killed everyone. So therefore... if you've not, they do highlight a bit on the promos that he did from Smoky Mountain Wrestling. They're on YouTube. Go and watch them and be amazed at what was allowed on TV in the 90s.
Oh, 90s TV.
The line where he says, shout out to OJ, 2 less white people to worry about, keep up the good work. It just, it warms my heart in the worst possible way.
It was a different time.
We then hear a story about New Jack and Mustafa in Smoky Mountain, where Mustafa was smoking pencil shavings.
Yeah, what the fuck?
I don't get that. I like D'Lo Brown's response. What was it about Mustafa? He just started laughing, and he goes, I can't tell you. Which is basically the world's biggest, yes, but I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, let's not go down that route.
and the story of him shouting at New Jack that the police officers were trying to have sex with him when they were just arresting. It's so bizarre. New Jack doing an angle in Smoky Mountain where he beat up one of the Rock and Roll Express, and they literally recreated the Rodney King beating. Jesus Christ.
It's not funny.
It's not funny. But it's shocking.
It's just so shocking that you just don't know how to react. I just literally like, okay.
But then you had the stuff talking about Jim Cornette basically saying that he told New Jack to go and say stuff that make white people mad. But then New Jack openly went, well, they're trying to get us racially abused for heat. So that's why he left.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that sounds very on brand.
Mm-hmm.
for a Mr. Cornette. We then get a delightful insight into New Jack's childhood, where he saw his own mum get stabbed and shot. However, this is the thing, because this is the underlining undercurrent running through this whole thing, where everyone's like, no one knows who, like, Jerome Young is. Like, all of this he could be completely kayfabing everyone.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's one, but if that's true, that explains a lot.
Definitely.
And we get a lot more background about the mass transit incident, because I watched ECW. I was a massive fan of New Jack, and I've watched a whole bunch of shoot interviews with New Jack and stuff. So but they spoke about mass transit before. They gave so much, like with the Chris Benoit thing. They gave a lot of background that we didn't get previously, like the whole thing on mass transit about he wasn't just brought in at random. He was something that ECW were looking at because he was wrestling these two midget wrestlers. Eric the Terrible in this was like the biggest indie wrestling carny guy ever, because clearly he was using this as well to try and get more bookings.
Probably. Yeah.
It was pretty like, here's me on Raw, here's me on Jerry Springer. He's like, I still wrestle. Hey, let me strike a pose. It was absolute hero. But they explained that he was brought in, and basically a constant thread throughout all the things that New Jack did. Someone was disrespectful to him, so he chose to basically commit felonious assault. That happened several times in this episode. So Mass Transit basically just undermines him, asks to get colour. He's like, fine, I'm going to get a massive blade on a stick, and I'm literally going to slice your head open. And then they got cut to they talk about the trial, and they spoke about how Paul Heyman was there as a witness for New Jack, and how he just worked the entire judge and jury. And I'm like, you can imagine Paul Heyman doing that. I can
imagine him doing that. I would love to see footage of that. Full
on cutting a promo. Just all the it's tremendous. I knew this as a fact anyway, because I remember seeing on a shoot interview that basically New Jack would just bang a whole bunch of coke before every wrestling match.
Yeah, see, I didn't know this.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, it does, but at the same time, it's very shocking to, like, actually know it.
Yeah, because it's not safe at all to be impaired.
No.
What's the favourite drug ECW story? Was it Sandman against Sabu? It might have been Sandman against Sabu. I think it's Sabu, where apparently Sandman dropped a bunch of LSD.
Oh my
before
God.
a match, and was chasing after Sabu, saying, "Come here, lizard, lizard, lizard," because he thought Sabu was a giant lizard.
Oh my God.
I've watched they talk about the Danbury Fall. I've watched that so many times. It never gets any easier to watch a 400-pound man land on someone's head on concrete from about 15 feet in the air. And yeah, I've heard all the stories about the headaches, and like they cleaned up the story about Vic Grimes, because I remember him saying that he had like grey brain matter coming out of his nose and his ear.
Yeah, they proper like made it like a lot less graphic.
It was like I hear about that. Also, they cleaned up the pissing Vic Grimes story as well, because the XPW thing where he tased him and throws him off the scaffold, aiming for the tables and missing all of them.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, I was trying to throw him to the floor to kill him." No, he wasn't. He said in the shoot interview, again, this is New Jack kayfabing people. He said that he was trying to aim for the ring post. Basically, he was trying to impale Vic Grimes on the ring post from 30 feet in the air.
It's just not right, is it?
It's not right. Said moral of basically a moral throughout this as well is don't be racist at all.
Yes.
Because if you're a dick or if you're racist in and around New Jack or anyone, there's a good chance you might get hurt. Or in New Jack's case, he might try and kill you.
Yeah, he will kill you.
We also find out that New Jack is hilarious and a great cook.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
We then see the Hunter Red story, which... Oh, we saw the Gypsy Joe thing, where he beats up a 72-year-old man. Because no one told him that Gypsy Joe's gimmick was no selling, so he decided to beat him up for real. But then again, New Jack did have a counterpoint to that. He's like, I was in a place where I was constantly being called the N-word. Out loud and angrily, and I couldn't take it out on any of the fans because I'd be done for assault. So I took it out on the guy that was no-selling me. And you end up getting this weird Joker-style empathy with him. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that I was a black guy in a ring with a guy that wasn't doing what I thought he would do or what I was expected of us to do, and then I've got 30 people all calling me racial slurs. I'm fairly certain I stopped beating the fuck out of the guy in the ring. Yeah,
pretty much. You just take it out whenever you could. It's not right, but it's not what happens.
We then see about the Hunter Red situation where he basically stabs a guy in the back several times, all because the guy walked away from him while they were trying to plan out a match.
It's not funny.
There's one thing. There's one just not funny. I did love them doing a reaction video of D'Lo and Brown and Jim Cornette watching New Jack stab a guy.
Oh,
just
that was
weird. However, if this doesn't sum up, I was going to say American indie wrestling in general. Hunter Red got stabbed 9 times, like in the back. Could have been paralysed or died. Dropped the charges because he wanted to work an angle with him around Florida.
I couldn't even begin to explain. I was literally just sitting there like, are you actually on drugs? Like,
I guarantee, you can't tell me. I don't say, I would like you to tell me, but I bet you can't tell me. I bet you've heard someone try and use something really serious to use in a storyline that shouldn't be used in a storyline in any form of wrestling you've been in. Please tell me off pod. We can't say it on pod.
No, I can't say it on pod, but there is a few.
However, the highlight of this thing is the end of going, if your life was a movie, New Jack, how would it end? And he was like me sat in a wheelchair just snorting a whole load of cocaine.
At least he's honest.
It was just like, one, because obviously I don't think you've seen Dark Side of the Ring before. It's such a good documentary, isn't it?
Really good. It is really good.
It's really good. And they've got, I can't remember, I think Brawl for All's the next one.
Oh, okay.
So I'm very intrigued by that. I'm not sure what order they go in, but I'm very, very interested in that. Yeah, but New Jack, awful human being, but fascinating man. Just
very fascinating.
I could watch stuff of New Jack in all day. Doesn't mean I kind of stand up for what he does and what he says. There are some empathetic things, but I think that analogy that Benjamin Kleb thought up of the Joker and New Jack is really accurate.
Why not spread? I said, why not spread the gospel of the TWM squad with some of our lovely merch over at Teespring? We have t-shirts for all shapes and sizes, hoodies, sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, and loads more. Also, just for listening to this podcast, you can get 10% off your order. I said using the code podcast. That's podcast. Once again, podcast in the checkout for 10% off at teespring.com/stores/TWM-wrestling-merch. That's right. Praise. Testify.
Everybody rejoice because we've got our crappy reality TV back. Yeah.
Can I just say one thing before we start this? There's crappy reality TV and then there's Total Bellas.
This was an emotional roller coaster.
It was a weird fucking roller coaster is what it was, because I felt I got a headache.
It was a lot to take in because, like, I think it's because, like, with Ms. and Mrs., it was like half hour, it was straight comedy all the way through.
Yeah.
And even with Total Divas, there was, like, occasional bits of comedy. This was very much more of the, like, keeping up with the Kardashians kind of drama, rather than the... I'm trying to think of, like... Rather than, like, I don't know, like, the Osbournes comedy, like one of those things.
Yeah.
This was all, and it was just, it was so much. So, episode 1, I said, big shout out to, we're not going to name names because we don't want to get in trouble. Shout out to some of our American fam at TWM that allowed us to watch this through various VPNs and their streaming services. Thank you. We basically get a run through all the stuff that's going to happen this season, which I still don't understand why reality shows do this.
I don't get why they do that. Like, honestly, would you do that if you was watching a TV show like The Walking Dead? Like, oh yeah, this season this is going to happen. Like, you wouldn't do that.
It's like this season on The Walking Dead, we just see Negus just twatting someone with a barbed wire bat. It's just
exactly. Like, you wouldn't do that, so don't do it in these type of TV shows.
It's ridiculous. We get a recap of Nikki and Artem so far and their whirlwind romance. I'm going to say it like that from now on. People think it's lust, but Nikki thinks it's love.
I think it's lust.
Well, we're gonna see. We open with Bree peeing on a stick.
Right, before we go any further, okay, I understand the concept of reality TV and them following you, but why in fucking God's name would you allow someone to film you while sitting on a toilet?
I think probably like however much million a year they get paid to be on E.
I still would not let them film me peeing on the toilet.
There we go. Tweet us at TWM Wrestle. How much do you think Kim would take in pay to have someone film her on the toilet?
I would not.
And if you can pony up that money, she will put it on her TikTok. We then see Birdie not being helpful at all. By just going up and being like, I'm peeing.
She's so cute though.
I just like walking off going, basically the things we learn from this, one of the first things we learn is that Birdie seems to think that Brie Bella just poos all the time.
All the time.
Just all constantly pooing. And Apaz, Brie promised Brian a second baby, which is not very 2020, is it? To be like, no, I will sire you another child. We get to that a little bit more later on. We then cut to Artem and Nikki. They're making Russian food. Nikki talks about eating his penis. And we basically see the open to a softcore porn via making bread.
Actually, I don't know if it's because I'm bitter or not, but if that's what relationships like, I don't want one.
Yeah, even I was like uncomfortable because it was a music. I generally thought like, are you gonna like take this bread and be like, well, I've got this bread, give me your penis? It was just like
exactly like, what did you want to do? Throw you on the counter and make love to you whilst making the dough, so your body needs it? Like,
one hand on Nikki, one hand on making those bread things. It was just it was weird. It was really weird. It gets weirder. Brian then walks into the room and goes, "You're not pregnant." And then he gets the pea stick shoved in his face for announcing it before Brie could see it.
No, I'll make her right, to be honest.
I said he was in the. She was in the right. Birdie wants a brother. Brian wants a son, and apparently Brie goes poo poo, according to Birdie. Birdie's already the star of this show. More softcore porn bread making. They discuss them being married before. Nikki being married before. I think she was. Yeah,
was she married before?
I think she was married when she was like 19. I'm fairly certain that's a thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm either getting her mixed up with Kim Kardashian, or I'm fairly certain she was married when she was really, really young. I don't think they're talking about John because they didn't actually get married, did they? So.
Hold on, I'm actually going to Wikipedia it.
Because funny enough, I was actually thanks to social isolation and the kind of watching TV, I've been watching season 4 of Total Bellas on E because it's been on if you're bored. Yeah,
she married her high school sweetheart when she was 20, and then 3 years later they got divorced.
There we go. So I've been watching season 4 of Total Bellas, which is the one where they nearly they get engaged, they break up, they then go through all the thing of wedding, and then Nikki changes her mind. So I kind of know. I was like, they actually get married, did they? They didn't. They talk about him how they met on Dancing with the Stars and they fell in love, and I just get massive Strictly Curse vibes. But
Strictly Curse.
But psych, Artem was cut from Dancing with the Stars. Artem is sad with this situation. We now get very meta because now we're going to be doing a podcast about people recording a podcast.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Okay, because we're watching the Bellas, and their setup is not as fancy as ours. Literally, they just plugged it into a Mac with 3 microphones, and they're just sitting in someone's bedroom. They go on. They have Artem on to discuss getting cut from Dancing with the Stars. They discuss Nikki's house being built, and on a podcast, Nikki just goes, "Well, you might as well move in with me then," because Nikki doesn't think about anything apparently. And Brie, being the voice of reason, is not happy with Nikki basically moving Artem in from out of nowhere.
Don't blame her.
It was because it was just this. I think Brie was bang on as well, because she was like, "No, he's not like a lost puppy. He has his own life. Like, you don't need to be like, I need to rescue you and bring you into my house." It's
exactly.
Yeah, I do like this. I like that we're realizing that Nikki's like, even though Brie has Brie mode, we've realized that Brie is the more sensible sister out of the two, and Nikki's the very impulsive one.
100%.
We get a house tour. It's a lovely house that she's got in Arizona next to her sister.
It is very nice.
But Brie questions Nikki's Artem move while he's outside looking at the barbecue. We then cut to New York City, and the Bellas be biking. Nikki takes the clever decision to ride a bike in wedges.
That's such bullshit. That's utter fucking bullshit.
And then Bree's like, "Well, you should have worn trainers or tennis shoes." I hate that term. It's stupid.
I hate the term tennis
trainers. Shoes. They're trainers or plimsolls. It's literally it. If you say tennis shoes, you're wrong, and I want you to delete this podcast.
You're as bad as the people that say Adidas.
Hey, Run DMC said Adidas. I have no issue with that.
I have no issue with it.
And then she's like, "Sorry, not all of us have, Chanel trainers." No, just buy any. I know you don't have Primark in the US. You've got Forever 21, which is basically
Walmart.
your...
Just go into a fucking Walmart and spend $10 on a pair of trainers. It's not difficult.
You don't have to have Chanel trainers, you idiot. Why did we get so angry? We just put on blast people that we both actually genuinely... I love the Bellas. I've just held abuse.
My mum's like that. She's like, Kimberly, I can't wear shoes. I've not got a label on them. And
they're
I'm like,
shoes.
Fuck off, bitch.
They're literally shoes.
No one's literally walking around with a magnifying glass being like, "Oh my god, the girl is wearing shoes." That does not have a label on
My
it.
best pair of trainers are a no-name brand from ASOS. Like, come on, play the game here. They discuss Brie having baby number 2, and she can't imagine being a working mum and a mother of 2, and she's feeling the pressure. Well, I'm fairly certain, this is great for research. In season 4, you talked about getting a nanny. Why don't you do that again?
Oh god,
do that again. Get a nanny. You had a whole episode where you discussed the pressure of... just the pressure of needing help, and be like, "Yeah, no, I need to get a live-in nanny." Get another one then. They are at the party for their beauty line, and I will give them credit, because it's mad that they've got like 3 businesses.
I know, you've got to give them credit for that. Just that alone, isn't
They
it?
are very much. They are
very.
very much a bearable version of the Kardashians, aren't they?
Like, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. They then go into the Russian tea room in New York, and they cheer for the Russians, communists. And 2 of their friends have got Russian other halves, and they talk by Russians boff better than Americans. And they discuss dick and balls in Russian.
Nice.
We then also find out, and this can't be real. If it is, I don't know whether I love or hate the Bellas for this. Nikki's ringtone on her phone is their theme song.
I didn't even notice.
Literally, all you hear is, "You can look, but you can't touch." And I'm like, if they put that in post, I hate them. But if that's our actual ringtone, I love it. Because I feel like it should be a law that all wrestlers should have their theme song as their ringtone.
Oh, definitely.
Brie just goes, "Brie!" really loudly. Artem's on FaceTime, and they swear at Artem in Russian.
Nice.
He brings up meeting his mum, and they discuss moving in. And then Brie puts in the big question: if it's convenience, or rather than love. And remember from Told Bears that this is our narrative for the episode. We get back to Phoenix, and we're at the OBGYN, which is the vagina doctor, for those who don't know what that is. Is there a different name for it over here? Because I feel like that's a very American name for it, the OBGYN.
So yeah, we don't really have a distinctive OBGYN, because in America, because they pay for their healthcare, whereas us, we go to the hospital and we'll go to like neurology and we'll go to oncology and stuff like that. Americans don't. They literally have a different doctors for everything. So an OBGYN is completely different doctors to anything else.
So we have the Muff Doctor, rather than
we don't even have the Muff Doctor. Really, it comes under normal doctors, unless
so naming
I think it's called. I think we call it family planning. I think that's what ours is.
Oh, I'm so naming the podcast Muff Doctor. Yeah, she's there to basically for Bree to have a vagina looked at, and they discuss that who wants the kids here out of her and Brian. And it's all going on, and then it just takes a massive, hard, depressing left.
Like, just when you're just going to talk about your vagina and the fact that you can't conceive, and then bam, the dog's dead. Yeah.
We then literally hear this. I guarantee this was not meant to be a part. Like, obviously, it wasn't meant to be a part. But because it's such a hard left, and then we realise how much of a hard right we get later on, because it's just like 10 minutes of real sad 10 minutes. Because we find out that Josie, who I've seen on like Brian and Bree's Instagram, has to be put down, and it's just crying for 10 minutes. Like, I don't want to see. Like, watching Daniel Brian Danielson, whatever, retire where he had tears in his eyes, watching him visibly weep that his best friend had died was genuinely hard to watch. Especially when he goes into detail about how, like, when he was out injured, that when he was depressed, and when he was alone while Bree was on the road, that, like, Josie was, like, the thing, like, was like, his, like, best friend. And I was like, I had to text you and be like, heads up. There's like 10 minutes episode that's rough. It's really rough to get through. Especially when everyone's stuck inside and emotions are running high. The last thing you want to watch is a 10-minute... It's like, you know, when back in the day, when you'd like flicking through the TV and you'd be like, oh, great, 8 simple rules for dating my teenage daughter's on, and you'd flick it on and it'd be the episode where the dad had died. So it was just half an hour of crying, and you're like, well, I know it's sad, but I didn't want to watch that for the 5th time. This was like this. I was like, oh, total bears, and then like really sad. Everyone's sad. Winston's sad. He's sitting there with a sad look on his face. And Bree is scared about upsetting Brian further, and Brian's about to go back on the road, and he's just broken as a human being. Like, he doesn't want to go to WWE.
Him when he was packing and he found her bite marks and stuff.
Yeah, it was rough. They have a heart-to-heart about it all, and then Brie Bella, in what might be the dumbest, the dumbest move I've seen in any of the shows we've watched, decides to go, you know what? Just as you're about to leave, just as you've finished breaking down crying about the loss of your dog, I'm going to tell you I don't want a second child. Why then?
Dumb move.
Like, because one of these things is like, at the start of the episode, I was a little bit iffy on Brian being like, I want a second child, because it's like, it's not your choice. It's not your vagina, it's not your uterus, it's not your other things down there, I forget the names. Ovaries, that was what I was thinking of. I couldn't remember the name ovaries. Like, it's not yours, it's her choice. But he gets upset because the timing of that is literally the worst timing ever.
It is the stupidest timing. Yeah.
Brian and Bree basically don't communicate, and when Bree did, it was the wrong time, and then Brian just leaves. So it's very, very sad. Hard right. We then cut to Nikki and Artem shopping for lingerie, and Artem gets a boner.
What the actual fuck?
It's so bizarre. It's just like everyday life, everyday dramas of the Bella twins. Dead dog, lingerie, boners, lol. It's just... And then again, it's really uncomfortable because we're literally seeing, like, Nikki Bella, like, not even half naked, 3/4 naked.
Yeah, she was pretty much naked.
On TV, and Artem was just sitting there, stifling a boner in his trousers. Like, we saw, like, Nikki come out in a bra that basically wasn't a bra.
It wasn't a bra. That wasn't a bra. That was just a shell.
There was like underwear that was entitled Easy Access.
Yeah, Easy Access underwear. Yeah.
And then but it's not just Brie. The Bellas, the queen of weird times, bring stuff up. Let me just get changed out of sexy underwear. I don't want you to move in with me.
Yeah, what the?
What is wrong with these two? I love you guys, but why do you get in your head this, like, you know what? Everything's fine. I'm going to bring up a really serious point. You're really upset. I'm going to dump on you even more. It's like, geez, wait till, like, you're sitting on the sofa having a quiet conversation to bring this stuff up.
Maybe she was being, like, really thoughtful, because that is a boner killer.
Yeah, it's like, we have to leave. I'm going to have to kill your boner there and then. Artem says she doesn't want to move in. Artem half agrees, half disagrees. He said he feels a bit played, but he understands, and they're going to work on it because Artem is a sensible human being. Sorry, Artem is a sensible human being. Brian then discusses loss. Weirdly, like, cut with him getting beaten up by Eric Rowan, which was strange. He's talking about the death of his dog, and he's getting claw slammed by a giant ginger guy. And then we cut to the confrontation between Brian and Brie, our second bit of narrative. And basically, Brian goes, "I'm sorry for getting angry." And she's like, "I'm sorry for something on then," because I had no reason to get angry. And he discusses feeling lonely and his mental health, but he realises that Brie is right. It's not the right time to have a second child. Or did he?
Or is it?
Because they cut with the confession cams that are in the house, so I'm fairly certain Brie would hear it. That was the thing. I want to hear Brie in the background going, "The fuck?" Brian admits it's a half-truth. He's like, "I understand, but I still want a second child." And they still don't agree, and he admits that they've really drifted apart. Oh my god! It's all going to go down! Well, we know what happened, because we know that Brie's pregnant anyway.
Yeah.
It's weird being like, the drama, are they going to break up? No, because they're going to have the second child anyway. But, if you watch the bit at the start, it looks like that was an accident. So,
I still don't think it was.
I'm not gonna lie, this was a emotional roller coaster of a show.
It was a weird way to bring Total Bellas back.
But my god, do I want to watch the next episode?
Oh hell yeah!
It's gonna be brilliant. It's great. Like, it's just this. Like, I imagine there's gonna be at the moment only Birdie's the real MVP. We've not had a Liv Morgan / Maurice's mum stand out of the episode yet. But obviously only time will tell. We'll see. Anyway, that wraps up a packed episode of Best of the Rest. Follow our social medias at TWM Wrestle, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. As we said, podcast will probably change. It depends what's going on. Brutally honest, we're waiting on what WWE's going to do. If WWE can't tape anymore, then we're going to have a whole bunch of shows that need to be kind of condensed into other shows. So we're going to basically change the schedule around as and when, so the summer might be a little bit different. So just keep an eye on social medias for all of that. Subscribe to us on Apple and Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, Acast, Podbean, YouTube. Check out twm.news. We've got WrestleMania predictions. We've got loads of WrestleMania related stuff up. Stuff about Dark Side of the Ring. We've got 2 reviews of the New Jack and the Chris Benoit one. We're going to do weekly reviews of Dark Side of the Ring. Stuff for AEW, stuff for NXT, stuff for all that good stuff. Check it out. It's a great read if you're kind of bored and you're sitting around and taking your mind off in these weird times. Gives you a little sidebar. Is anyone else really annoyed that it suddenly got really nice outside the second that we're not allowed outside anymore? It's almost as if nature is taking the piss at this point.
Well, no, I don't know. It's not nice here. It's quite cloudy here.
No, but the sun's out. It was
no sign of meatballs.
It was miserable and cold, literally until they said self-isolation, and literally the sun has been out 95% of the time since. Are you taking the piss, world? Yeah, we'll be covering WrestleMania. We'll be doing live tweeting of both nights, however weird that show may be, and we'll be having reviews and podcasts and all that good stuff. So please check all of them out. Keep an eye on social medias and at twm.news. Check out We Love Sport UK. Check out WrestleCrate. Kim, where can they check you out?
At Kymmie A on Instagram, on Twitter, and now on TikTok.
Oh, God help us. I'm on Matty ID on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm barely on there at the moment because it's too depressing, but I'm on Instagram a fair bit, so go check that out. At twm.news, like we said, at twm wrestle. This has been Best of the Rest. Enjoy WrestleMania, however weird it may be, and we'll be back next week with more.
It's going to be weird, guys.
It's going to be very weird. We'll be back with more Best of the Rest next week.